Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Now, I've been getting quite a lot of questions from you guys, from the viewers in the comments regarding becoming documentarily qualified whenever it comes to the I-130 process, petition for alien relative. As most of you know, this is a lengthy process, and it involves a few stages. First you submit the application, the I-130 application with USCIS. It gets hopefully approved. Once it is approved, it is transferred to the NVC for further processing, where you have to become documentarily qualified before the availability of the immigrant visa, before the interview can be scheduled. And becoming documentarily qualified, personally, I consider it a huge milestone. Now, I am myself personally familiar with it because I have multiple petitions. I have a few petitions that I've done for my parents, a couple of the petitions, and of course I have a petition for my brother that I always mention in whenever I answer your questions in the comments. And today I have an excellent opportunity from someone who have been documentarily qualified and already got the immigrant visa a while back, who allowed me to use their portal, their NVC portal, to show you guys what it looks like and what exactly becoming documentarily qualified entails, what it means, what are the things that are involved in becoming documentarily qualified. So, as you can see in front of me, we have the official portal from U.S. Department of State Consular Electronic Application Center, which is also known as National Visa Center, the NVC, CAAC. It's really the same thing. And this is the link that you will get once your application, once your I-130 petition is approved by USCIS and transferred to the NVC. With this link, you will also get a few things. You will get your case ID, and I'm gonna put it here. And the case ID, you will be able to see it throughout this video. And on the next page, it asks for the invoice ID, and this one I will have to blur out just for the privacy purposes. I'm gonna put it here, and then when you select, you will have an option to select whether you're an applicant, attorney, petitioner, third-party agent. In this case, I am a third party, so we're gonna put third party. Now, this is always my problem, entering the the correct. Is that a C or O? I hope it is C. We'll see. All right. Okay, perfect. So we are able to log in. Here it is. Here is how the already documentarily qualified NVC portal looks like. Well, not the documentarily qualified NVC portal, but documentarily qualified applicant. All right, so there are a few things in the NVC portal that you can see in this corner right here. You can see there is the case number. Once again, there's a visa class, whatever visa class it is. We know that there are several different family preference whenever it comes to visa bulletin that we're looking at, but besides those general preferences, there's also subcategories for each visa category. For example, specifically for parents of a U.S. citizen, specifically for a child of a U.S. citizen, specifically of a spouse of a permanent resident. They will all have their own category, and you will be able to find that here, right here in this corner of the NVC portal. Obviously, where the case is being processed at, where the U.S. Embassy is, the country, the chargeability area, the interview location, again, where the embassy is, and of course the priority date, which, as most of you know, if you have been subscribed to this channel, if you ever asked a question and it was answered on this channel, the priority date is probably one of the most important determining factors whenever it comes to the availability of the immigrant visa. And if you're not familiar with the visa bulletin, make sure to subscribe to this channel. There are a few videos already on the visa bulletin, but we are expecting a June visa bulletin to come out soon. And visa bulletin, again, it is official government source from the Department of State. Basically, it gives us a rough estimate. Not tells us, but gives us rough estimates so that we can kind of estimate more or less the availability of the immigrant visa for a specific visa category. Keep in mind, these categories right here, the family preference categories, are only those that have to wait for the availability of the immigrant visas. Whenever it comes to being an immediate relative, obviously you don't have to deal with visa bulletin at all. So that's a good thing, obviously. Now, if we scroll down through this page, here underneath in this corner right here with all the case information, you will see the messages. We will get into messages a little bit later. The contact information in case if your email, because all of the communication is done through the email, make sure you keep an updated email address here, whether the petitioner is more in charge of doing all of this stuff, or if it's a petitioner and the beneficiary, they are both working together to complete this this stage right here, which in most cases that's what it's going to be. What I mean by saying that is that sometimes beneficiary can log in as well, because they have the login information and they can fill out their application, and petitioner logs in as well and then provides their information. And sometimes, like for example, in case if you are filing for your parents, you're just asking them for the documents and then you fill it out all for them. Or if you have an attorney, they fill it out all for you. They just ask for the information from you. If we scroll down, we have a kind of a helpful, a little bit of a confusing graph right here, which kind of explains the documentary qualification process. I know it's a little bit confusing. It's like all over the place with these arrows, but basically, to make it easier to understand, there are three things that entail becoming documentarily qualified: is submitting affidavits of support and the immigrant visa application, the DS-260 and I-865, I believe, the affidavit of support. We will look at it a little bit later. Always forget the numbers. Paying the fees, that's number 2. And number 3 is submitting the civil documents. And that's really it. Yes, it involves also submitting the financial documents, but that's more part of the submitting that affidavit of support, because the financial documents are part of submitting the affidavit of support. So in this case, you see the affidavit of support, there are actually 2 sponsors. So in this particular case, the petitioner, the main sponsor, right? Because as a petitioner, you are also the sponsor. You have to be. You cannot be a petitioner and not be a sponsor, all right? Whether you have enough income or not. In this case, the petitioner did not have enough income to sponsor for, in this case, IR5, which is immediate relative, and 5 is for a parent of a US citizen. So petitioner had to actually have a joint sponsor. So in this video, you can see how adding the joint sponsor, works basically whenever it comes to becoming documentarily qualified. And of course, there is applicant information. IV, that's immigrant visa fee, IV application, immigrant visa application, and then the civil documents, the 3 things to become documentarily qualified. So if we click on this paid link right here, it will show us the fees. So it is $325, at least that's what it was whenever this application was, which was back in August 2021, so almost 2 years ago. There's a chance that the fees, they always grow. Unfortunately, they don't get less, they get a little bit more. Affidavit of support, $120. So as a petitioner, as the main sponsor, you do have that one-time $120 fee, but when you are adding additional sponsors, in case if your income is not enough, in that case you don't have to pay. And as you can see right here, affidavit of support fee for the joint sponsor is actually not applicable. All right, so let's move further. We talked about the fees. We talked about the immigrant visa application, and the immigrant visa application, if you have ever had any kind of appointment with US Embassy getting any kind of visa, you know how you have to go online, US Embassy website, fill out the application so that you can actually schedule the appointment and go for that interview, whether it's non-immigrant visa or immigrant visa. In this case, it's for the immigrant visa, and it is form DS-260, basically just the personal information, all the generic stuff, really nothing crazy about it. Now, there are some civil documents that you will be providing as part of the, becoming documentarily qualified. Affidavit of support, it does count as part of the civil documents, more the financial side, on the I-864, federal income tax return or transcript. In this case, they give you an option whether you submit a tax return for the sponsor and the joint sponsor if you have one, or the tax transcript. But as of recently, I keep mentioning it, as of recently, whenever they do schedule the interviews, they started asking for the tax transcript. So if you are submitting a tax return as part of becoming documentarily qualified with NVC, make sure that you also get yourself a tax transcript for the past few years as well, so that you are ready to bring it to the actual interview. If you are the beneficiary, that is. If you are the petitioner, then send it to the beneficiary so that they have it when they go for an interview. There are a few other documents that you need to provide as part of all of this, and let's see if I can locate this civil documents. There we go. Let's click on that. So we got petitioners. That's now for the petitioner. Right, petitioner's marriage certificate, passport, and this is a passport for the beneficiary, photographs, passport style photographs, marriage certificate now for the beneficiary, birth certificate of the petitioner. So you see, these are the documents basically that establish the relationship of the beneficiary with the petitioner. And you already have all of these documents. If you're working on this process right now, then you definitely already have all of these documents put together, because these are the same documents that you had to submit to USCIS to become approved with them. Military records and the police certificate. Now the police certificate, I do get a lot of questions about the police certificate. Basically, it is beneficiary going to a local police department, or however it is called. Different countries, they have different names, whether it's police, in some countries it's called like a militia. So you go there and you get the regular statement from that department. It can be just local, whatever, saying that you are beneficiary, don't have any kind of court dates, any kind of crimes, you are not being wanted or anything like this. Basically, that you are clear. If you need to travel, you're clear to travel. That's really it. There is really no specific format for that police certificate, but most of the departments, most of them, they know exactly what it is. Basically just showing that you don't have any kind of criminal record, you don't have any court dates, and you can leave the country whenever you want to. And that's really it. And as you can see here, you can see the date when it was uploaded and the status. This is very important. The status is very important. As you can see, all of these here are accepted, and that's really what tells us that this is well on the way to become documentarily qualified, which we already know that it is, but obviously this is part of it. Each document, civil document, financial document that is being uploaded, each of them, they get reviewed individually, and they are either accepted or rejected. And that brings me to the very last thing that I wanted to show you in this video as part of becoming documentarily qualified. It's these messages right here. That's kind of the communication between NVC and the petitioner beneficiary, telling you whether your document was accepted or not. So we'll look through some of these, and you can see kind of the history of what's been going on with this particular case right here. The petitioner birth certificate was submitted, marriage certificate, military records, and if we click on one of these, and it says, please replace this upload with a scan of the original language document and a certified English translation. So you see, in this case, we see that military records, they actually, the initial submission of the military records was rejected, all right? And they asked for, to do it in a specific way. In this case, in the original language and a certified English translation. Not just English translation, but a certified English translation. And if you're not familiar with what certified translation is, basically it is a regular translation, and then a third person, not related to the case, not related to you, who knows both languages, English and the original language of the document, basically just writes a statement underneath. It can be printed, it can be written, and says, my name is blah 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 blah, I fluently speak English and the original language of the document, and I'm translating this document certifying that this is the correct translation, and my phone number is this if you need to contact me with any questions. That's really it. It can be notarized, you don't have to be notarized, doesn't really matter, but that's what the certified translation means. Moving further, let's see, police certificate. As you can see, they had the same exact thing, the same exact problem with the police certificate, birth certificate, same exact problem. They require the certified English translation, and you see there's a little bit of kind of back and forth going. Let's look at the case review, the most recent one. Please submit proof of Frank's assets that were entered on their affidavit of support form. Again, as you can see, you will be getting all of this stuff in the email as well. But it is good to know where to find this information. Now let's move on. There is a request to add joint sponsor. So there's got to be somewhere some of these messages that got to say that the initial income that was shown on the initial affidavit of support from the petitioner, it was not enough. So let's see if we can find it. There we go. Here it is. So this case does not meet the minimum income requirement to sponsor the intending immigrants. To avoid delays, an additional affidavit of support for joint sponsor may be submitted. All right. So as you can see, and that's why there was a request to add a joint sponsor, which on December 29th, it was approved. And then moving further, please upload and submit for the joint sponsor all the information, IRS tax transcript form 2020. I guess it wasn't submitted initially. And then from December, so in March they requested something. In December the joint sponsor was added. And then in June, so you see it created roughly January, February, March, April, May, June, roughly 6 months delay of this back and forth, because the initial petitioner, the initial sponsor, the petitioner, did not have enough income. And once the joint sponsor was added on 17th of June, 2 words, documentarily qualified, which by now, hope that should be clear, and you know that this is it. The documents, the fees, the affidavit of support, and the immigrant visa, and documentarily qualified. That's it. It means you are ready to go. The beneficiary, that is ready to go for that interview and finally get that immigrant visa. Do not get your guard down, however. If you're done with this, if you're just now documentarily qualified, still be prepared, because you still have the medical examination to deal with, and then you have to go for an interview. Bring all of the documents that you were submitting to become documentarily qualified, the tax transcripts, tax returns, bring them too, all the documents that establish the relationship, like birth certificate, marriage certificate, all of that, the good stuff. And be ready to answer some questions. I do have a video specifically on the interview if you want to learn a little bit more. But that's really it to become documentarily qualified. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you're not familiar with this channel and this is the first video that you're watching, basically every single day, that's been the case so far, I have been going through all of the comments, and I actually have, for today's video, I have all of them pulled up here. I will be answering each comment. And these videos, they go by volume. So right now we're on volume 78. So today I will be recording volume 79, answering your immigration related questions. But thank you very much for your time. Hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.